Not at the moment. I could use some water very badly.
Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Christ the royal master leads against the foe, forward into battle, see his banners go. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Oh, for a faith that will not shrink, though pressed by every foe, that will not tremble on the brink of any earthly woe, that will not murmur or complain beneath a chastening rod, but in the hour of grief or pain will lean upon its God. A faith that shines more bright and clear when tempests rage without, that when in danger knows no fear, in darkness feels no doubt. Lord, give us such a faith as this, and then whatever may come, we'll taste and hear the hallowed bliss of an eternal home. A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never-dying soul to save, and fitted for the sky, to serve the present age, my calling to fulfill. Oh, may it all my powers engage to do my Master's will. Arm me with jealous care, as in thy sight to live, and O thy servant, Lord, prepare a strict account to give. Help me to watch and pray, and on thyself rely. Assured if I my trust betray, I shall forever die. Rise up, O men of God, have done with lesser things. Give heart and mind and soul and strength to serve the King of Kings. Rise up, O men of God, his kingdom tarries long. Bring in the day of brotherhood and end the night of wrong. Rise up, O men of God, the church for you doth wait. Her strength unequal to her task, rise up and make her great. Lift high the cross of Christ, tread where his feet have trod, as brothers of the Son of Man, rise up, O men of God.
Hi. Good evening. Oh, I'm hearing an echo. What?
You realize that in the order of things, it is supposed to be me. Good evening. Let's edify one another, shall we? And then
The,
you.
the Saints for professionals and shenanigans.
And for the last 4 years, we've gone over this. You would think that by now it would set in.
Nope. It just doesn't penetrate it.
Good evening, Maureen.
It's about to be 5, isn't it? Next month.
No, it's going to be 4 years next month. Technically.
Oh, it'll be the completion of the 4th.
Because we started CEM about 1 year after I started I took over as reading. And I've been reading for 4 years.
Yeah. November 2021.
How you doing, Mari? You doing good?
What have you done today?
Well, after too little sleep, not as little as Alicia. She stayed up till 3 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
That I was going to, making the cupcakes. We didn't frost them. She was kind enough to make cupcakes for me to pass out to the kids on my bus because my birthday is Saturday and this was the last day of school for this week.
Huh.
So,
Maureen went to the dentist.
So then so she stayed up till 3 o'clock, and I was in bed by about somewhere between 1:30 and 2 o'clock. Maureen went to the dentist, as you already said.
Oh, I was in bed at like 1:45 too.
And so then I got up, went out this morning, came home, began making biscuits, did biscuits while, was making biscuits while on stream this morning, as you no doubt recall. Turned out lovely. Even if Alicia.
Is that why you were way late?
I was in the midst of making the biscuits when Larry stopped in.
Oh.
So now that wasn't the full reason, but I mean, I was in the process of making it. And I was in the process of making biscuits when I had to go live, and I had let Alicia sleep in, so I didn't have her for creating room, and so I was making biscuits, creating the room, and struggling with this laptop at the same time.
Yeah.
Never did take this laptop down like I was going to.
Well, I was early yesterday. Like, it was 10:22, and I'm like, I'm ready. Let's go.
So I made the biscuits. Then I went out after stream and I fried up some sausage and made some gravy, sausage gravy,
Ooh,
to go on top of our biscuits.
I'm hungry now. Wow.
And so we had homemade sausage biscuits homemade biscuits and sausage gravy. And Alicia iced the cupcakes. Then Alicia and I went down to the bus barn where she put them on the bus for me. And because by that time I was pretty well unable to do much heavy lifting and standing. The biscuits and all taking it out of me.
Right.
And yeah, so then we get back and
I heard Alicia complaining that the kids didn't like her biscuits.
Alicia has been in the kitchen cleaning while Shua and I have been down assessing the damage to the basement that the leak caused earlier this year, and trying to work and clean in the basement and fix, get ready to do some whatever fixing is needed. Looks like we're going to have to replace our pressure tank down there. We're prepping to modify our furnace so that we can utilize wood heat on a boiler system. So instead of having to heat via electricity all this winter. So I have to access that, which of course requires us getting to it.
Yeah.
And the damage from the leak and stuff. Well, that has, we had some boxes of books and totes of paper and stuff like that, papers, I should say, that were in that area. And so we've been cleaning.
I've never been down there yet. There's probably a reason.
You don't want to.
I forgot you had a basement.
Well, one of the reasons you haven't been down there is the steps are too steep. You'd probably fall flat on your face.
Yeah.
And I do not want that to happen.
No.
I worry about me falling flat on my face going down those blasted stairs.
Yeah, that would not be good. Although my tourist mode may take me to check out the Des Moines hospital.
You what?
I may, if I try to go down those steps, I may see what your hospital in Des Moines is like.
I don't think you really want to.
No.
You definitely don't want to see what the hospital in Guthrie's like.
Is it bad? Is that the one where your mom said you could die 7 times before they get to you?
Yep.
Well.
One of my treasures that I found down in the basement while cleaning was this little gem.
What is that?
It's a book entitled The Merry Men of Gotham.
Ooh. Is that a Batman thing?
A what?
A Batman thing?
No.
Gotham's a Batman, so.
Right. This particular collection was copywritten in 1950, but the Merry Men of Gotham series of stories is way older than that. To let's see if I can give you a little bit of the history of it. The tales of the Merry Men by the centuries have little of it, perhaps. Anyway, but before telling you the sparkling life of these stories for near 300 years, so it's at least 300 years old, or almost 400 years old. I want to tell you how decorations of the hours, forgotten tales that have not been told. I want to tell them all at once to the world, to all the world, or tell them at once to all the world. I have known these tales since I could understand sentences. One day I read that Mr. Stapleton, the great English scholar, wrote about 50 years ago of these Gotham tales. Said he, "The once very popular story of Gotham is now quite a thing of the past. It has passed away into oblivion. Probably it was the longest lived, as well as the widest read of all the English jest books, for it appears to have run fully 3 centuries from its earliest to its latest printing. There seems to be no reason why a selection of these tales should not be utilized for children's books in the present day. Few subjects would be better suited for the purpose than, say, the first 10 tales of Gotham. We shall confidently await this hint being taken up, and hope thus to see the ancient stories and jest once more revived." I fully agree with late Mr. Stapleton. These stories once told to me when I was knee-high had given me exciting pleasure. As the march of years went on, I often wondered why they were not reprinted for all to enjoy. Finally, it occurred to me that perhaps they were not presented the way we like stories today, for they seemed to be just small anecdotes. So I took these jests and anecdotes, blowing about the lands like spring pollens for many hundred years, under such titles as Tales of Gotham, Merry Tales of the Madmen of Gotham, and others, and set them down in my own words, in my own form, in my own way, in story form for you to read. In the world's history of stories have changed with the storyteller, and ever since the Gotham stories began, they have changed according to the place where they are told and who told them. Even as early as about 1662, Master Fuller, a learned gentleman and writer, said, "An hundred fopperies are feigned and fathered on the townfolk of Gotham, a village in this country." I did not put in any of the stories which are not held to be true Gotham salt. In none of the stories have I changed the jest or idea. The difference is mainly in the telling, in creating a little lively interest. There is now a slight continuity through the tales, a simple thread in which in a way gives them a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now and then, as in the tale of grazing on the roof, I combined several tales to fit this continuity. In order to do this, I have added a few of the stories of the legendary Jack of Dover, who in tales told and written roamed the land in quest of the greatest fool in England. Surely in this quest he must have come many times to Gotham. Now, Jack of Dover mingled not only with the earthy folk, but with gaping nobles as well, and so it is fair to assume he belonged, if not completely, at least in large part, to the king's party, rather than to that of the common folk. For that reason, in the story, he sides with King John and not with the men of Gotham. Believe me, not for a moment did I think I could improve on the robust, rollicking humor of the original jests and anecdotes. But even the fine scholar Mr. Stapleton put at the end of his bright scholarly book all about the Merry Tales of Gotham, his own more modern version of these stories. If you would like to read the jests and anecdotes as they appeared in the first printing, you will find them in the before-mentioned book by Mr. Stapleton. There they appear in a modernized version of the 1630 edition. You will also find them in Merry Tales of the Madmen of Gotham, edited by W. Carew Hazlitt. In that book, they are put down exactly as they were in the 1630 edition. They are also in the modern edition of James O. Hallowell under the title of The Merry Tales of the Wise Men of Gotham. The Jack of Dover tales can be found complete in Jack of Dover's Quest of Inquiry, edited by W. Carew Hazlitt. No one knows when or even where these stories began. Either they just happened here and there, or the seeds were scattered through the lands by some nimble-minded folk traveling far and wide, and bore fruit wherever they fell. You will find the same kind of stories in almost every country in the world, in Asia and in Africa and France and in Italy and ancient Greece and ancient Egypt and among the Jews in the days of the Bible. Take such a story as fishing for the image of the moon that looks like a moving yellow cheese in the silent water. That story has been told in almost every living land by folk in search of a happy minute of laughter. Same is true of the story of drowning the eel, or of counting the 12 men to make certain all are there. There is a particular delightful, funny, very folksy version of that tale in India. These stories are like rays of an enormous golden sun, shedding happy, warming laughter wherever they shine. Now, it has always been a very human habit in every land to plant such stories around a particular town or people. The Greeks made fun of the Sidonians. The Swiss laughed at the simpletons of Belmont. The Persian Arabs ha-ha'd at the silly folk of Hums. And New York City people poke fun at the folk in Brooklyn. The Negro North African tribes think the people of Beni Jannad are very silly, and Hollanders burst with laughter at the folk of Kampen. In Belgium, there are funny tales about the Dinant citizens, and in France, about Lianas de Buen. Or Bayonne. Anyway, I don't know French, so I can't pronounce that one very well. This custom snakes its way throughout all the world and is probably a simple way for people to place their own follies on other men's doorsteps. Yes?
I said, oh, come on.
There really was, and still is, in England, a peaceful, sun-bright village called Gotham. Bum, bum, bum. It is near Nottingham, not very far from Sherwood Forest, famous for Robin Hood and his hard, merry living men. If you go to Gotham, folk there will show you the cuckoo bush on Court Hill, where the men of Gotham tried to keep that bird to sing for them the whole year round. They will show you Cheese Hill, where the yellow cheese rolled down through the green grass, and they will show you King John's Mound, where the wise men of Gotham fooled King John, just as you've read the story. There's also a legendary Jack of Dover in tales in print who runs in and out of the stories. Many an adventurer is told of his attempts to find the fool of fools in England. Some of them are so amusing that I could not help but put them into this book. Just why the tales were attacked on Gotham Town rather than London or any other town is hidden in the years gone by. Perhaps it was done because Gotham in the old Anglo-Saxon meant Goat's Town, and the goat from the most ancient days was always considered a silly animal. Ain't that the truth? Perhaps it was a section of England where many unusual things happened. Sherwood Forest, right nearby, was full of stories about famous Robin Hood and his adventures. Or perhaps because some gossipy fellow outwitted by Gotham folk at some time. Whatever the cause, we find these comic stories were mostly connected with Gotham. They are mentioned even in the reign of Henry the Sixth in a collection of miracle plays, as religious plays were then called. And that was around 1425. The fame of the name Gotham spread through all the world, even to America, where New York City is called Gotham, and New Yorkers are called Gothamites because they are so smart in their behavior. Smart was in air quotes. There were endless Gotham stories, anecdotes, and jests, many, many more than ever appeared in the printed book we know. In the first printing of them it states in one tale, in old time when these aforesaid jests, as men of the country reported, and such fantastical matters were done at Gotham, which I cannot tell half. Quite often stories of other localities were pinned on the folk of Gotham. In the earliest printed book of them, which contains only 20 of the tales, near half of them are not really Gotham drolleries. Here are the sources, the toothy kernels around which I built the stories of this book. Story 1 is my own introduction. Stories 3, 4, 6, 8, 11, 12, 14, 15, 17, and 18 are original credited Gotham tales. Stories 2, 7, 9, and 13 are traditional Gotham tales, not found in the regular collections, but they can be found scattered in Stapleton's book and also in the Book of Noodles by W.A. Clouston and other works dealing with ancient comic stories. Stories 5, 10, 16, and 19 are Jack of Dover's Quest of Inquiry tales. The earliest printed version mentioned is around 1556 to 1566. It was Merry Tales of the Madmen of Gotham, gathered together by A.B. Fiske, Docteur. A.B. is supposed to stand for Andrew Board, a Carthusian friar, a traveler, a scholar, and a physician. The earliest version we have is the one printed in 1630 with the same title. There were many printings of the stories then after in the same form. Ding! I lost CJ.
No.
Skipping ahead just a bit. An old writer said, Gotham doth breed with as wise people as any, which laugh at their simplicity. Again, there's an old proverb, as wise as the men of Gotham, which can be taken in two ways. There is also an old saying, more fools pass through Gotham than remain in it. One day a stranger asked a boy working in the brown field in Gotham and said, or passed a boy working in a brown field in Gotham and said, is this the Gotham that fools come from? No, sir, said the boy. This is the Gotham that fools come to. Good evening, Sister T.
Pause, I'll be back. Well, I guess I can still hear you.
Okay. I'll read you one of the tales of the wise men of Gotham, or the merry men of Gotham, however you want to put it. And it's called Gotham Way of Counting. Thought you might enjoy this one. On a crystal blue day in May, 12 men of Gotham, such as favored talking more than working, went a-fishing early in the morning. They came to a hurrying brook, and some went wading in the waters, while others stood upon the dry land and caught a fine mess of glistening fish. This put them in a merry mood, and set their wet tongues wagging about the fine fish supper they soon would have. So, tongues clacking, they went on homeward with joy in their hearts and no care in their minds. Of a sudden, Giles, the gooseman, stopped. "Marry," quoth he, "we all ventured fearlessly this morning, wading in the water. I pray to God that none of us who came from home be drowned." "By Robin Hood, let us count one the others, and see, for there were 12 of us came out this morning, and I'll count ye." This came from Robin the Cheeseman. They all stood up in a row, Robin right before them, and he slowly began to count them, but he forgot to count himself, and so found they were only 11 men instead of 12. "Alas," he cried to the others, "there is one of us drowned." "Mayhap you did not count right," said Fat Ned. "I'll count this time." Fat Ned numbered the men, not adding himself, just as Robin had done, and he too counted only 11. Now all were certain that one had drowned, and they wept salty tears. They went back to the brook where they had been wading and fishing, and sought up and down and all around for him that was drowned. And when they could not find him, they did make a great lamentation. While they stood around, down the road came Jack of Dover, Richard the alderman, and a courtier of the king. Richard and Jack had been talking of the men of Gotham, and they were in one another's hair. Jack said he was in search of the Fool of Fools, making his inquiries in most of the principal places in England. But Richard said Jack was spying on the honest men of Gotham. Added he, "When you've done seeking fools amongst people, you'll be adjudged the biggest fool of all for doing that." "Well," cried Jack, come what may, I'm still wise enough not to be fooled by the men of your town playing the fool to fool the king." 'Twas near dark when they came upon the motley men of Gotham, a-weeping and wailing for the one that was drowned. No sooner did they see the alderman than Robin cried, "Woe to us! One of us is drowned." "Lord of mercy, how did that happen?" asked Richard. "Alas, Richard, this day we went a-fishing in the brook, and there did come 12 of us, but now there are only 11 of us. One of us has drowned." "What makes you say that one has drowned?" said Jack of Dover in surprise, for he had seen that there were 12 present. "We counted one, the other 7 times over, and each time we found there was only 11 present." "Ye counted well?" said Richard. "That we did," said Fat Ned. "I did the counting, and if you don't believe it, I'll do it over again right now, and you'll see that one of us is drowned." He began telling them off exactly as he did before, counting 11 men, but not himself. "There!" he cried. "There are only 11 of us." The courtier and Jack looked at each other, and then at Richard, and in the end, at the men of Gotham. "Well," quoth Jack of Dover, "this, to my mind, is pretty foolery." "Go back to King John and tell him this," said Richard. "Maybe they're just playing the fool," said Jack of Dover. "We'll find out," said the nobleman. Then he turned to the men of Gotham. "What will you give me if I find the 12th man?" "Sir," said they, "we'll give you all the money we have." "Then give me your money," said the noble, "for I promise you here, in the name of the Lord, that I'll find ye the man who drowned." Thereupon, each man emptied his wallet, which was not very much, while Jack and Richard just looked on. Now, said the nobleman, stand in a line as ye did before. This they did. Whereat the courtier came up to them and gave the first one a blow on his shoulder, which made the fellow groan. And the nobleman cried, there is one. Then he served the next one in the same manner, crying, there is the second. So he went to the next and to the next, and full down the line, passing all 12, giving each a sound whack and crying out their number. He reached the last man and hit him extra hard, crying, here is the 12th. The men of Gotham rubbed their shoulders, but there was gladness on their faces, for now they knew that they were all present. God's blessings on your hearts, they all cried, for having found our neighbor. And they went off merrily. Said the nobleman to Jack, certes, these men have not head enough to fool the king of the realm. Methinks here are the fools of fools, for which ye have been searching. But Jack grumbled, for he was still in doubt, and truly a doubter sees many ghosts.
That's awesome. I like it. That's something I would do.
That's something you would what?
That's something I would do. Do another one.
Taking it slowly.
These aren't like, I guess they're old stories, so we don't have to worry about copyright or something, right?
Right. I mean, you're talking in the 1500s.
Yeah.
Although, like I said, this we don't necessarily have to worry about copyright in this regard because I'm reading them.
Yeah.
And M.A. Jagendorf, or Jagendorf, I'm not sure how that's actually pronounced, wrote down this collection in this manner. This is his retelling of them in his own manner, in his own way. In 1950. So the book that I have was published in 1950. It's copywritten. Maureen asked if I was ever in plays. And while my mother dabbled in, had us dabble in plays, just around the house or whatever, no. Other than that, no.
You know what you should do? You probably could make a lot of money doing this, but you should be a voice actor. That would be a great career for you.
Only if someone would pay me for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Teresa thought that was pretty funny. I need to get that book. Mom had a book, has a book rather, entitled The Crowded House, which is a series of plays, I think from Hungary or Czechoslovakia or somewhere in that neighborhood. And there's some pretty good.
That one was really good. I can picture Cher doing the whacking on that. 12.
Here's one. I'm gonna see if the Three Men on the Bridge is the one I think it is. Where'd you go? Oh, that's page 25. No.
There's one. There's two.
Want to hear another one?
Yeah. Are you gonna do the bridge one?
Yeah, it's not the one I was thinking it was, but there's one I'm looking for. Um, oh, is that okay? I found the one I was looking for. It's entitled "This Is How It Began," and then I'll do the three on the bridge. This is how it began. There was a king in England, and they called him John. And though a king should be good and wise, John was hard and fierce, and people feared him. This curly-headed King John, with a train of knights and beautiful ladies in velvet and fur, rode up and down the land, and whenever the royal foot touched the earth, it became a public highway. So the king gained many roads where there had been no roads, and the citizens lost many fields where good food had grown. One day, Robert, the guzzling herald in gay colors, came to the bustling marketplace of Gotham. He cried that the king and his court were on their way to Oakham and would rest in Gotham. This was a warning for the citizens to make ready the finest chambers and to prepare the best meats and drink for the royal company. The guzzling herald was a stout man with 3 chins under his thick lip, and the long speech made him hungry, so he went into the inn to sample the red beef and pink brown hams that his royal master would soon be crunching.
So true. So true.
The good men of Gotham did not like the icy news, and they called a council under the great shielding oak tree. There came Toll the draper and Robin the cheeseman. There were Richard and Tom, Brian and Harry. There were weavers, tanners, furriers, vintners, and husbandmen. All Gotham was there. Spoke Richard, the red-haired alderman. The Lord have mercy on us. Greedy King John and his greedy nobles will pass here and will lose our good land. It's a shame. If it were King Richard the Lion-hearted, said John the blacksmith with the big voice, I'd not mind it. But by hoof and anvil it's not he. There were many cheers at the name of Lion-hearted Richard. Talk'll help us little, cried Dame Elizabeth. Up rose Robin the cheeseman with the single eye. He was a long, thin, strong man with a nose like a bird's beak and a straggly beard which hung down his leather jerkin. Hi, Carol. We are famous for our merry ways, he said, but our merry ways will do us little good now. Why not try to act silly instead? Perhaps folly will help us where wisdom fails. A shout went up, and all agreed it was worth a trial. Instead of being wise, they'd be foolish. Instead of acting friendly, they'd be hostile. Instead of being clever, they'd be silly. The guzzling herald came from the inn. He was so full of good food and drink that he walked very slowly. "Oh, there!" thundered Robin with the single eye. "Tell King John he can't pass through Gotham. That is our reply and order," added Fat Ned. "We think that we list and what we list and fear nothing." The herald opened his mouth and goggled his eyes like a fish and did not say a word for a long time, so sick with surprise was he. Finally, he spluttered and barked. "You'll pay for this, you raggy villains." Then he mounted his steed and rode off in greater fury than any fat man since the day of Adam. Since the day of Adam. King John was feasting and drinking when he heard the news. His anger was fierce and his orders sharp. "Send 20 knights to clear the way, and the town as well. Make it a grazing ground for goats." Sorry, added an R there that shouldn't have been. The knights in cold iron and their wolfish followers rode off. Their faces were black, and their steel pikes, swords, and battle axes gleamed sharp. But the merry Gotham folk were ready. They had no battle axes, no lances, no two-edged swords, no bows. They just had their wits. The wicked crew, ready for blood and butchery, soon came to the road that led to Gotham and stopped at the strangest sight in the world. Hello, Reba. Sorry, that's not in here. Red Richard, the alderman, stood at the hurrying brook, pouring pail after pail of water into a big green tub without a bottom, which a short, round man held in both his hands. The water poured out as quickly as it was poured in.
"My lady, you fool, what are you doing?" roared the leader of the knights.
"Sir Knight, I am trying to fill the tub with water," said Richard innocently. The knights howled with laughter at this. Nearby, men had brought up a cart with sunburnt hay and were unloading it outside a barn. "Since when is hay kept outside the barn?" cried another knight. "That's to keep the barn in the shade," replied the Gotham citizens solemnly. Women in red and green kirtles and barefoot children were running about with open pots and baskets. "Why are they running around like this?" cried another knight. "To catch sunshine to light our chambers at night," they said. A man was walking, carrying on his back a door with a lock. Asked why, he replied, "To make sure my house is locked while I'm away." Men were shouting for the flies to leave Gotham. A fellow stood on a ladder against a tree, painting green apples red. Some were trying to catch their shadows. Men and women, boys and girls, were throwing salt at birds' tails to catch them. In short, each one was acting more silly than the next. The knights, under their steel and leather, looked and laughed, not knowing what to make of it. "They're mad. To punish them would be as silly as their teeth. They wouldn't know why they were being punished." "We'll go back to King John and tell him of this," said one another. So they returned and told their tale. King John laughed and agreed that there was little use in punishing madmen, but one thought differently. And that was Sleek Jack of Dover, a big fellow going up and down the roads of England to find the greatest fool in the land. "I'm off to Gotham," he cried. "I think they are only playing the fool to gain their own ends. Go and find out, come back and tell me. There'll be a good reward for you if what you say is true," said King John. Hi. Why don't you sit and listen? Off went Jack of Dover to Gotham town, while King John and his knights went on another road, telling everywhere about the silly men of Gotham. As for those in Gotham, they were full of joy at the trick they had played on the greedy king. "We're the wisest people in the world," they cried, "for we are wise when we are silly. Who ever heard of such a thing?" "Why not act silly all the time?" roared John the blacksmith. "We citizens without weapons gained a great victory over knights in armor and steel with just good laughter. Truly, we are the merry and wise men of Gotham. Let's act silly and merry always, for it is to our gain and makes life easy," shouted Big Harry the vintner. And the seed was sown, and fruit began to grow. From then on, Gotham men acted differently from anyone else. And they found that they got what they wanted much easier, and that life was more merry for it.
I like that one. Well,
Carrying his locked door on his back.
yeah.
That way he could make sure his house was locked while he was away.
Well, those were so bad they were good. No, 2 men on the bridge. We got 8 minutes. One more.
All right, 3 men on the bridge.
Oh, 3 men.
Teresa thought that was a good one. Maureen's not giving me any feedback other than were you in a play? She's probably just shaking her head over there and in merry Gotham, as in the rest of the round rolling world, all the people are not alike. Most were gay, but some were like a cold, rainy autumn morning. One day, Toll the Draper was on the way to Nottingham to buy sheep. He was a happy little bird-like man with a pointed beard and a narrow yellow face. He reached Nottingham Bridge, where he saw, coming the other way, Giles the gooseman, who resembled the birds he sold. Giles was full of black anger because he had driven a poor bargain at the fair. "Well met," piped Toll in his chipper little voice. "Whither go you?" growled Giles gruffly. "Merry friend Giles, to Nottingham market to see if I can't buy a few good sheep at a bargain price." "And which way will you bring them home?" snorted Giles. "Straight over this bridge, friend Giles. Come, put a smile on your face and a little cheer in your voice, or I'll not call you friend." "Little do I care what you call me," griped Giles. "But by Robin Hood, you'll not drive your sheep over this bridge on which I stand." He said this because he was in a harsh humor and wanted to be contrary. "By Maid Marian," screamed Toll, "I will." "You will not," roared Giles. "I will," said Toll. "Neither you nor the king's knights can stop me." "You will not. Shoo away from here, Master Toll, with the face of a weasel." "Shoo yourself from here, Master Giles, with the face of a bellowing bull calf, and don't you dare call me Weasel Face," cried Toll, raising his thin stick while Giles raised his thick stick. But both were wise citizens and stood a good distance apart so that they could not strike each other. Both began beating the wind and the earth. Giles hit the road so hard that the dust flew high, while Toll swung his thin stick so hard that it whistled like a storm. "You can't stop my sheep," shouted Toll hoarsely. "They shall not come this way," bawled Giles. "They shall. If you argue more, I'll stick my finger in your mouth.
The devil you will.
Yes, They might have come to real blows if good fortune had not sent their way Henry, the fat miller of Gotham. He came walking from the cool woods while his horse followed, a sack of flour loaded upon its back. The two stopped their argument. Right then, a fourth fellow came by. It was Jack of Dover, going to Gotham to find out if the men there really were really silly or not. He stopped a ways off and looked at the three and listened. But Henry the miller had seen him and knew the game he had to play. Said Henry slowly and loudly, "What's wrong with you two?" Each tumbled over the other to tell about the sheep that were not there. "Ah, fools, will you never learn wit?" said Henry after he'd listened to them. "Fighting about sheep walking over a bridge when the sheep are not even bought. I'll show you how little your argument is worth. Come, both of you. But first, take this sack of flour from my horse and lay it upon my shoulders." They did as they were told. "Now," continued Henry, "let's go to the middle of the bridge and hold the bag over the water." The three went on the bridge. When they got to the middle of the bridge, Henry unloosened the mouth of the sack. At once the flour began pouring out, running into the water. When it was empty, Henry spoke. "Now, neighbors, Giles and Toll, tell me how much meal is there in the sack?" "Marry," answered they, "none." "Not by my faith," said wise Henry. "Even so, much wisdom is there in your two heads to strive and battle for sheep which are not here." Jack of Dover, laughing, came up and said, "Did you say these two had no sense for fighting over nothing? I think you have less sense than they for throwing your flour away to prove it." "Now I know I've found the greatest fools of England, but I can't make up my mind which of you is the worst." "The worst fool is the one who thinks everyone else is a fool. Remember that, Master Jack of Dover," said the stout miller. Hearing this, Jack of Dover went his way, none the wiser than he had come. He wondered whether the three men of Gotham on the bridge had acted silly or not. I bet a penny you know.
I love it. I gotta get that book.
If you can find the one by M.A. Jagendorf, that's I recommend it. There are others out there, but The Merry Men of Gotham.
I like it. William, on that note, hope you've been edified by our time together, laughing together, and just lifting your spirits, maybe. I enjoyed it. When I hear a story, it's like a movie playing in my head. So those are funny. Those were good. But anyways, thank you all for being here. And remember, here in CEM, we want to do three things, whether seriously or with our humor. Glorify God, edify you, His saints, and answer any spiritual questions you may have. Thank you all, and God bless.
That way. Whether we wake tomorrow to serve God here on this earth, or we wake tomorrow to serve Him up there where we all long to be, you know, where we'll have the honor, the privilege, the pleasure of not being in Gotham anymore. Or will. See you then. God bless in your walk with Him. We love you all, and have a blessed evening.